Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are, and welcome to this discussion of the Miss Marvel trailer that just dropped. And oh, it's a doozy, but it's a good doozy. I can't play the trailer. Well, I can, but it's got sound and it's got music, copywritten music, on by the weekend. And so rather than just play the trailer, react, and then talk about it, I'll just play a couple of clips, which are the most interesting part, because the rest of it is mostly generic naff. And frankly, if I'm being honest, Disney Marvel TV at the moment has an abhorrent track record. I think I've only enjoyed Wanda and half of Loki. The rest of them are just forgettable tripe in everything. Even when Jeff Loeb dropped the phallus of garbage that was his TV shows. Moving on. So the Miss Marvel trailer dropped, and it starts off as your generic teen thingy of a girl with wild imagination and, of course, fawning over boys. Pretty standard. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Run with it, baby. But now we get to the most interesting part of the whole trailer, and that is the origins of Miss Marvel's powers. And it's completely different to what it was in the comic books. Side note, that is a good thing. I'll get to that in a second. Now, her powers in this appear to come from a bracelet. Is that bracelet some kind of cosmic thing that landed on Earth? Is it something like residue left over that it embedded itself in the lantern when Miss Marvel blew up the ship in her film that gave her powers from the hyperdrive or whatever it was? Is it from that, or is it just completely unrelated to Miss Marvel and the cosmic powers, and it's its own thing? And we'll get to that in a second. In the comic books, the origins of Miss Marvel's powers are tied to one of the darkest eras in Marvel Comics, and that was when Disney and Ike Perlmutter, the CEO of Marvel, wanted mutants in the MCU, but they couldn't because 20th Century Fox owned the rights to the mutants at the time. And so their way of getting around that was to expand on the Inhumans. The Inhumans, you've already seen that crappy TV series, but also in the comic books, there were a kind of royal family and a group of people that lived on the moon. So their way around it was to expand on the Inhumans, and what happened was Black Bolt, I can't remember the reasons why because I don't really care, he released Terrigen Mist, or Terrigen, or Terrigan Mist on Earth, which created Inhumans, and mutants that came into contact with it died. Because Marvel and Disney, in their infinite wisdom, thought, yeah, why don't we kill off the greatest franchise we ever had in the X-Men, kill them off in the comic books, completely wipe them out, so they don't exist, at least in the main continuity of the Marvel, of the 616 universe. And that way, we could have all these new characters with all these new powers, call them Inhumans instead of mutants, and that way, we've got more stuff to put on TV. And Miss Marvel was one of those people. I don't even know how to explain. It was just the absolute stupidest thing you could do that absolutely just alienated the original fans and didn't bring in any new fans, because comic books don't sell that much. It's a dying industry. So changing the origins of the Inhumans, trying to kill off the X-Men and bringing out a new brand of mutants, calling them Inhumans in the comic books, was just fucking stupid. There's such a plethora of other heroes to delve into. You didn't need to disrupt. You didn't need to disrupt the balance that was already existent for so many years in the comic books, because it's not really relevant. There's only a handful of us that read comics are going to be like, oh yeah, this is in the comic books. But instead, you know, anyway, tangent. No. So they've appeared to have changed the origins of the powers. Good. May the Inhumans never exist. And it's not just the Inhumans that existed. They tried to replace legacy characters with a bunch of diverse characters. And that's like, This kind of thing is not helping diversity. It creates resentment and bitterness. And instead of having something organically form like a new hero that happens to be of a certain ethnic background or sexuality or gender identity and things like that, you go and put them in where somebody already existed. They did it with Miss Marvel. They did it with Ironheart, who was replacing Iron Man. Who else did they do it with? Thor. They did Lady Thor. Good comic, by the way. They did it with who else? Well, She-Hulk already existed, so that doesn't really matter. But they did it with a couple of other characters, and people were just like, no, there was huge pushback. It flopped. Those characters exist in the comic books, but whatever. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent 'cause it's a rant now rather than a tangent, because I'm still bitter about what they did in the comic books, trying to kill off the X-Men. Of course, they worked their way around it by paying $70 billion for 20th Century Fox, because, you know, that's the easier option. Instead of trying to do some kind of universe share like they did with Sony. But, hey, look, it worked out for the better, because 20th Century Fox are one of the worst studios in Hollywood. It's the only time I've been okay with an acquisition of a company. And I'd rather it went to Disney knowing that 20th Century Fox owned the rights. But I believe with the sell on, it would have reverted off to someone else. Something. Fucking hell. What is this tangent? You know what? I'm not going to edit this out. I'm just going to leave it in because that's how my brain works. Anyway. Miss Marvel's powers is that she can shapeshift. She can change the size of her body and things like that. Pretty cool. In this, it appears that she has Sir Richards' powers. She can create force fields. And she could walk on things, and you know she had the arms and projectiles and all that. Basically, it just looks like they're gonna make her out to be a bit like Rey from Star Wars, where there's a certain situation. Well, guess what? I just so happen to have the power to get out of that situation. So they're already gonna make people just fucking headbutt a wall by Mary suing the shit out of this poor girl. So I don't mind the changes in her power, in the origins of her powers, but the complete change to her powers, it appears like it's just going to be one of those where it's going to be a lot of plot convenience that gets her out of a lot of situations by creating new things. So basically, it's probably like a bracelet where she could do anything with it. So great, well done there. Fucking hell. And that's really all there is to talk about, to be honest. You know, I was going to mention some other things like, hey, it's quite interesting that, you know, that she goes to Pakistan and there's a woman there that says something about her origins. So it's like maybe the bracelet is tied to Pakistan or whatever. Guarantee they're going there for a wedding, though. I guarantee they're going there for a wedding. Because all of my Pakistani friends, the only reason they've ever gone there is for weddings. Which is a shame because it looks like a very beautiful place. Bit tumultuous there, but hey, you can blame the West for that. Anyway, that's it. That's all I've got to say. I'm not really interested in this Miss Marvel. I don't really care about the legacy characters that were replaced by these woke renditions, even though I actually like Miss Marvel in the comic books. It's one of the few that are good. But I don't really care about this. And more so, I don't care about it because this Marvel TV's track record is abysmal. But I hope I've been proved wrong. I'll definitely watch it. I'm looking forward to Moon Knight coming out. But again, I don't hold up much hope. Anyway, that is all. Bloody hell, I've gone on long enough. And don't forget to subscribe to NerdTube. We are the greatest channel you've never heard of. Alright.